I think the imposter syndrome happens to all of us. It happens to me. It happens to everyone I know. I would say a couple of things. First of all, if you're here at Duke, that means you're here. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't incredibly good luck. You're here for a reason. And so I think in that sense, you can mitigate some of that imposter syndrome by reminding yourself that, first of all, probably everyone is experiencing it. And at the same time, you're not the one who made the decision for you to come here, others were. And so they made it in a way that seems kind of reasonable. And so consequently, you're here for a reason. I also think imposter syndrome, it can go in two different directions. It can be paralyzing. If you really just think that you're a fraud and you're a sham and you're not getting anything done. I think that's a problematic relationship to have with imposter syndrome, as is, I also think, just trying to tell yourself it doesn't exist, because I don't know about you, but if I've ever been anxious about something, just telling myself to stop doesn't work. Sometimes I find having a little bit of imposter syndrome can actually be kind of a good thing, because it does propel you to be a little bit better, to go a little bit further, to try a little bit harder. So if you're coming in to Duke and you're thinking, do I belong here? First of all, the answer is yes, but also that can just mean, well, you may have to just dig in a little bit more, right? You may just have to put in that extra effort. And I think that that's a way that you can mobilize imposter syndrome for success. I think I found community in a couple ways. I would say first, definitely, I met a lot of really close friends in the classes I took, especially those that were in my major, because you find yourself taking the same classes kind of over and over again. You develop little informal study groups and voila, you're good friends. I think another way that I found community was through a lot of the kinds of clubs and activities that I did. I think that's a really easy way to find community. You just, you already start with a set of shared interests, and this could be club sports, this could be arts, this could be any kind of like extracurricular stuff. I always recommend students pursuing things based on whether they've had a background in it or even just a general interest in seeing what this kind of club is for. You never really know whether your interest will get piqued until you start doing it. I think that's a really, really important way. And then I think the residence halls are always really helpful. I made a lot of really close friends when I was in college, in the time that I spent in the residence halls, and you're living with these people and you inevitably get to know them. I think college is a really easy place to build community because it's a bunch of strangers from all over the world, really, just kind of clumped up together, and no one really knows anyone, and so you're all starting in a sense from the same place. And I think there's that shared common ground that I think is really, really important to realize.